Hey guys, welcome back to the Film Grinders podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Hauka, here with David Hollinshead. Dave, honestly, what a week for football fans. You got football, you got 3 games on Thursday, good game on Friday, college ball on Saturday, if you guys are into that too, and then Sunday, Monday, as per usual, just with a couple fewer games on Sunday. So back for football fans. What a week. I just was watching football all week, had a wonderful time. We got a lot to go through, Dave, but how did you enjoy American Thanksgiving, even though we are Canadian and don't actually celebrate it?
Oh, we always love what we get up here with the typical Thanksgiving Day games and all the festivities that go around that. And my dad always says that Christmas season for him, and kind of ingrained in my head that Christmas season starts when American Thanksgiving ends. So I'm just preparing my ears to hear Mariah Carey and Michael Bublé all day, every day.
Oh, yep, there you go. I'm also a fan of the Justin Bieber Christmas album, but maybe that's a hot take. Mistletoe, great song. Dave, what do you actually, here's a question. What do you think the acceptable day is to start listening to Christmas music?
Never, if I'm being honest.
Never.
I hate Christmas music. But if I had to be like socially, December 1st, you can start.
Okay. I think November 25th because it's exactly a month from Christmas.
But could you start listening to Halloween music on September 30th?
Who listens to Halloween music?
Who listens to Christmas music?
Like you're just jamming out to Monster Mash just on a regular Tuesday? I don't think so. Come on.
Ice Nine Kills is basically Halloween music.
Yeah, I mean
it's metal for theater kids.
It's not specific.
It is.
Anyway. Metal music for theater kids.
You think I would like it, but no.
No? Well, maybe not metal, but someone feeling maybe a little bit emo, Dave. After a couple of rough 2 weeks, Abdul Carter getting benched for the second time in as many weeks, this time for reportedly sleeping in and missing a meeting. Not the other thing that someone tweeted that I think 45,000 people liked on X, and then did not do any background research and thought was true. And Abdul Carter spoke on X after the game saying, guys, are you freaking kidding me right now? Don't slander me, which very, very fair, man. Not a great situation, but getting back to the actual things that occurred, him sleeping in and then being late for a meeting. Dave, this is a guy that he had a couple of concerns in college, I believe, like very small ones that weren't really seen as a big deal. This is pretty rare for a rookie to have 2 back-to-back instances like this. Are you concerned about him at this point?
Yeah, I think so. I remember there being like some sort of rumors floating around in the pre-draft process that he might have some maturity issues, but they were there was all allegations, right? And there's a lot of misinformation and weird stuff that goes on in the pre-draft process. But for a player to get benched, especially one of that high draft status, twice in a row, it lends to concern. And if that means that if he's disengaged or kind of pulling out, kind of checking out, and that's really a big problem for him.
Yeah, and like fool me one time, shame on me. Fool me 2 times, can't get fooled again. So 2 times in a row, not great. He's saying the right things in the media, saying, hey, it's my fault, I messed up. He's taking accountability for it, which is good, but is that just lip service? I don't know. Again, we're not in the room. We don't know what's going on with that guy, so hard to tell, but definitely concerning, and a player who hasn't been playing that well either. He's been fine, but he hasn't been the explosive pass rusher that we thought he would be. I think he has 20-ish pressures, but no sacks to his name. And I watched, like early in the season, first 5 to 6 games, I watched quite a bit of his film, and I wasn't overly impressed with what I was seeing. He didn't seem to be playing quite the same way as he did in college. So, and again, like I don't try to judge pass rushers till about 2 years after their rookie season because it takes time to get acclimated and learn the NFL game and rush at that level. But starting to be worried
Well,
about that guy. Let's see if he can turn it around.
he did just get his first sack against New England.
Oh, he
With
did have one
1.5
yesterday. You're right.
to his name at this point.
He did.
But we kind of knew
You're right.
with him coming out of the draft that he's still very new to this position, and he's still kind of learning all the ins and outs of it, especially at the NFL level. So I think, yeah, maybe year 2, year 3, and I think by the time his 5th year option is up, we'll kind of have a better idea of what he's going to be.
That's true. That sack was also like pretty much at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, but anyway, sack's a sack. Speaking of sacks, Dave, Kevin Patello, probably Philly fans want him to be sacked as they egged his house like a high school teen up-and-comer movie from the 90s and early 2000s. Philly fans, understand you guys are frustrated. This is very unacceptable. This is a man who has a family and is doing his best. It's not his job. He's continuing to have this position despite not doing the best job. He's trying. It's just not working. He's a first-time play caller. I think a lot of more blame needs to be put on Nick Sirianni for allowing him to continue as his team struggles. What do you think about the frustration in Philly, Dave?
No, like, I get it. You were Super Bowl winners and been Super Bowl contenders for quite a long time now. So when you start to fall off, there's definitely going to be the frustration there. But Philly fans do have a what do I want to call it? A reputation, and it's not a good one throughout the league. But it's like any sporting things. People just take it like 4 steps too far, just way too invested. Their whole day, their whole week is based on how well their team does. And it's just kind of upsetting to see, like, yeah, this guy has a family. He's doing his best. Let's criticize the job, and let's not criticize the man and throw him under the bus, you know?
Yeah, like anyone who gets to that point where they're coaching at that level is doing everything in their power to be good at their job 99% of the time and are fully committed to it. Sometimes you just don't have it as a play caller. You have strengths in other aspects as a coach, and that could be him. Again, he is a first-time play caller. It takes time when you're in the best league of football in the whole world. So let's maybe try to separate the person from the coach, and let's maybe try not to egg his house, because
let's maybe try.
Guy's going through enough bad press right now. That's the last thing he needs on his mind. I'm sure he's very aware of the comments from Eagles fans and probably hears it at home games because they are very vocal there in Philly.
I thought you meant because
also very
he just hears it at home.
Yeah. Also very vocal, Dave, are Patriots fans, and they are very happy, you being one of those Patriots fans, of the turnaround the team has had this year. And because of it, Coach of the Year odds today, guess who's number 1? It's Mike Vrabel, followed by Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald, and then Brian Schottenheimer of the Cowboys. Dave, let's try to take the bias aside as a Patriots fan here for a second for you. Is there any conversation other than Vrabel for Coach of the Year?
No, and I will not put my bias away. We just have to acknowledge our bias and not try and hide it. No, I think Vrabel is obviously the front runner. He took a team that's had 4 wins the past 2 seasons and has been tumbling in this downward spiral for the past 5 and turned them into a Super Bowl contender, contending for the number 1 seed. And that deserves recognition as Coach of the Year. And obviously Ben Johnson's doing an amazing job too in Chicago. He's made he's at least, I'm not ready to say he's made Caleb Williams into a super competent top 10 QB, but he's at the very least limiting the problems that Caleb Williams can cause. I mean, you had your running backs run for over 250 in this past weekend's game. And Kyle Monaghan, I think he's a dog. He looks great.
That was a good find. I think he was a seventh round pick.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a pretty unreal find. Yeah, like I look at this from two perspectives, right? Like I think on one hand, you look at how terrible the Patriots were last year. A team that wasn't in a lot of games under Gerard Mayo and lost very handily in a lot of them to what's happening now. And yes, people can say, oh, they had a weak schedule, but this is still an unbelievable turnaround. This doesn't happen very often. Then when you look at the Bears, what Ben Johnson has done with them is incredible, managing Caleb Williams, attempting to get him kind of up to speed and where he should be. And he's getting there slowly but surely. Um, yeah, we saw how good they were on the ground. But the one thing we have to remember is the Bears were a team that lost, I think, 3 or 4 games by a possession or less. And poor coaching by Matt Eberflus and company kind of led to those losses more than anything else. And they had that freak Hail Mary loss against the Commanders. There's just a lot of, like, they were in a lot of games and weren't able to pull through. So, as impressive as that is to me, from a non biased perspective, is I hate the Patriots. I do believe what Mike Vrabel is doing right now is more impressive, in my opinion. Um, what Mike McDonald has done has been excellent with the Seahawks, but that was a decent team last year. Like that wasn't a bad team by any means. Um, and Brian Schottenheimer, I feel like they haven't fully turned that around yet. Like I know they just had a massive win against the Chiefs, but I would say by no means are they kind of in the same conversation as those two front runners right now. So I think it's definitely between Vrabel and Johnson. I would lean towards Vrabel currently.
No, I would agree with everything you just said. I think Mike's done an amazing job in Seattle. It, but the team was never in tank mode. You know what I mean? Like at worst, they were kind of in the middling tens to teens kind of draft pick where we say that it's tough to get better. So to come in and take over from Pete Carroll and you have Sam Darnold as your QB and turn it around and you're right back at competing for the wild card spots and everything. He's done a great job. And when it comes to Schottenheimer, I'm sorry, but this has just kind of been what Dallas has been the past forever, hovering around 500, kind of struggling to really make any signature wins. Maybe they're pushing for a wild card, but this hasn't. There's nothing there that makes me think, the coaching has really turned this team around. We should recognize that.
I would say, though, I will give them credit for this. Their offense looks monumentally better than it did under Mike McCarthy. Even when like they were making the playoffs with McCarthy and Dak was healthy, it looks way smoother now. I love the way Dak's playing, and I genuinely think they're one of the most exciting offenses to watch in the whole league with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. When Lamb is on, they're very exciting and fun to watch. If only they had a pristine edge rusher. Um, I do know Quinn Williams has been quite good, but uh, anyway. Actually, reportedly, this is off topic, but apparently Jerry Jones came out and said that he offered the Jets Micah Parsons and a first for Quinn Williams, and they said no earlier before. So if that's true, that does not look good on Jets management. But anyway, we will transition now to primetime games. There are a bunch of them this week with the long week with multiple games on Thursday, Friday, etc. We will talk first about the primetime game on Thursday, Dave. Joe Burrow returns on the road in Baltimore and lead the Bengals to a pretty decisive 32-14 victory over the Ravens. Ravens seem to have started to turn things around the last couple weeks, and they lay a massive egg at home on prime time. What did you think of Burrow's return?
I mean, I think he had, I don't want to say a slow start, but there's definitely some rust getting back in, kicking 4 field goals in a row. Like, let's finish some drives here, especially when you have a drive start on, like, their 5, on their 3 or whatever it was. But eventually, like, he kind of settled back into the game and still threw some dots and kind of is the Joe Cool that we know he is. But I think the storyline for this game is more continuing to be the fall of the Ravens. Like, you're right, they started getting things back on track, won 4 or 5 in a row. I can't quite remember. But it needs to be studied how this team has just gone from like a perennial contender into struggling to stay at 500 at this point. It's impressive.
Yeah, and the defense has improved a bit. I might do a deep dive on them next week, just kind of looking into things. From what I've seen, because I watch a lot of Mike Green stuff because I was very high on him and he's not been good, like at all. I've watched and I don't like. I'll have to look more into it, but from what I've seen, the way Zach Gore is getting his edge rushers to play very passive. Remember when we watched A&M film during the draft process, where they were just kind of holding the line, holding their gap, almost like it was a run play every down? That's what the Ravens edge rushers are doing right now. They're not getting upfield to be an explosive. You have an explosive guy, Mike Green, who can mess games up by playing that way. Doesn't seem to be allowed to play that way, and yeah, so there's I think a lot to go into that. And maybe that's what I'll do next week for our what's wrong with. But that doesn't look good. Lamar looks fine, but Dave, like I don't think they have any good weapons on their team. I think Zay Flowers is okay in the slot. Mark Andrews is getting older. They're really lacking those explosive playmakers. Um, there doesn't look to be a lot open with this team right now.
No, I think we're seeing them getting kind of long in the tooth at this point. I mean, Derrick Henry still does look great, but he's kind of on this like managed workload, and 30-year-old running backs, eventually you hit the wall, right? As you said, Mark Andrews, DeAndre Hopkins as well. Rashad Bateman was never that guy. He could never really put it all together from college either. So it's really just Lamar, please go make some plays, and there's only so much he can do at this point. So I'd agree. I think they need to get
Yeah,
some firepower in there and kind of reload the offense, go through a reload phase.
yeah, lot to look at with those guys, but big win for the Bengals. They've had a terrible season, but always helps to have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Um, Despite how they might protect around him, but regardless, win's a win for them. Moving on to Friday, really good game between the Bears and Eagles. Maybe not so much for the Eagles offense. Dave, that AJ Brown guy, who I haven't really seen all year, he's a pretty damn good player. I feel like the Eagles might want to keep getting him the ball like they did in this one.
No, I think they want to just stop using him. He can continue to be disgruntled, and then a certain team from Boston can send an old fifth round draft pick to go get him. No, you're absolutely right. I think he pretty much carried their offense in this game. I mean, Saquon had 4.3 a carry, which isn't bad, but he just hasn't looked as explosive as he has in previous, especially last year, right? And beyond that, nobody on the Eagles offense has really been what it's been and been what they've been. And we criticized their offensive coordinator, but I mean, Dallas Goedert has been a non-factor. Smith has not been showing up at all either. He's not looked explosive. I don't know what it is, but they just don't look great.
Yeah, a lot of very static offensively. I saw a couple of clips cut up on X, and it did look like Hurts missed quite a few things.
I will give it to Chicago.
But again, like we're not in the.
They did a great job of getting Jalen Hurts off of his mark, making him move around, try and find things downfield. Yep. Couldn't really play in structure, which usually he's pretty good at, but not this week.
No. Got to shout out Kevin Byard, too. He's like 33 now or something like that. That pick on the sideline. My God, that guy's still so good. Just such a ball hawk. Gotta love that guy. But this is a huge win for the Bears. Teams are not able to run the ball like that against Philly and just impose their will in the Fangio defense. Like you're playing a lot of too high structure. So you're giving up some 4 and 5 yard runs here and there. But in the fourth quarter, when the Bears needed to grind out the clock and pound the ball, they were able to at will. Very impressive. This team is really taking on Ben Johnson's mantra and personality. And we saw the tarps off in the locker room after. Electric. Love it, Ben. Love it. Maybe not the most professional thing in the world, but I'm all for it. I thought it was pretty
You heard it
hilarious.
here
So,
first.
and his
Nick
players
Hauka likes
absolutely loved
coaches
it.
taking their clothes off.
I hate you. Anyway,
And we did compliment them
that's
earlier,
a
but again, Kyle
yeah.
Monagai and DeAndre Swift rushing for 130 and 125 each. Like, that's the two-headed monster that Ben Johnson brings over from his time in Detroit. Like, it's looking crazy good.
It is. Bears fans finally have something to be excited about. Another shout out, Nashawn Wright, who was on Last Chance U, I think season 4, loses his university head coach, Coach Bean, who was tragically killed on campus in a deadly shooting. Just really, really sad stuff. And as a coach, meant so much to Nashawn because he lost his father as well. So, and he's just been balling out in the last 5 to 6 weeks. So, really cool to see that. He had the forced fumble on the tush push. He's had a couple interceptions in the last couple weeks. Really cool to see him showing out. I always liked him on that show. So wanted to shout him out. Very difficult situation for all those involved and for him too. So good to see him shouting out or showing up rather. And yeah, just emotional stuff for him, I'm sure. But really happy for him with how he's been playing. Moving on now, Broncos Commanders. Broncos do it again, Dave. Just find a way to win. It does not look pretty on the offensive side of the ball for this team, but they keep finding a way to win. This one against a kind of rundown Commanders team, not having a very good season. Marcus Mariota, in my opinion, had a very good game against an awesome Denver defense that has made some quarterbacks look pretty poor this season. Uh, we'll never forgive the Titans for doing my man dirty and kind of destroying his career and his shoulder. Hasn't been able to throw the ball the same since that injury. What do you think about this one, Dave?
Yeah, actually, the point I was going to bring up is that his shoulder just seems to be continuing to kind of degenerate, and I just don't see any zip really on the ball. And I think when you're playing against a defense like this who can close in on those kind of lob balls, it's going to be tough for you. I thought he had a couple of bonehead plays, including a
Yeah, that interception was really stupid. Yes, I
not
agree.
only that, but he
Marcus, you're not at Oregon anymore,
yeah,
brother.
but like the pocket collapsing around him, and then he kind of dishes it off to his tight end who missed his block and the fumble there. I just thought take the sack there. There's no reason to risk that. That's not a savvy veteran play. But I think he still has it in the run game. I mean, he's still able to pick up some stuff on the ground. Five and a half carry, 10 rushes, 55 yards. I thought this game was very much similar for both teams in that they were asking both QBs to make plays off their mark. And when it comes down to it, Bo Nix just kind of has that in him more than Mariota at this point. And I think it's emphasized by the Mahomes like, I hate saying that, but the Mahomes like knee almost touched in the ground throw, sidearm throw into the end zone for a
Yeah.
touchdown.
Battle of two Ducks legends. Mariota being the greater of those, by the way. But it looks like the pro game is going to work out a little bit better for Bo Nix moving forward. And the Broncos, another win. Them and the Patriots, kind of powers of the AFC right now.
Kind of surprised Sean Payton isn't up for Coach of the Year at all, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, they find ways to win games. It doesn't look pretty. Maybe that's why. I
no,
don't
but
know.
10-2, like
They're also one game away from the playoffs last year. So it's like they're not,
sure,
the turnaround isn't as striking as the other guys on the
sure.
list,
But does Coach of the Year just have to go to a guy who's turned it around every year, or can it just be a coach who?
It doesn't have
Right,
to, but it
but it
does.
does
That's
exactly.
just how it works. It's like MVP goes to quarterback every year, unless your name's JJ Watt. It's just
Yeah,
how it is. Doesn't mean it's right,
but it is
but
what it is. Yeah.
um, it is what it is. But yep, Bo Nix getting the best of alma mater of the Oregon alma mater, Marcus Mariota, in a big win. And last primetime game on our list, Dave, your Patriots beating the lowly Giants in Jackson Dart's return to action. I thought Dart actually played okay. He was fine. Didn't have a lot to work with, but did his best. Got absolutely destroyed on the sideline, um, which I actually thought was a clean hit. Nothing wrong with that. Christian Ellis was quite the game for the Patriots on the defensive side of the ball, and Patriots continue their strong play.
Yep, game was never really in question for the Patriots. From pretty much jump, I think the 94 punt return from Marcus Jones kind of like that was it. I pretty much knew at that point this game was over. This is the first time I really got to sit down and engage myself into Jackson Dart and just watch him from a down to down type basis. And while he does look good for what a lot of his critics were saying, what concerns me is the amount of suicide plays that happen, whether it be himself or it be setting up his receivers for just getting crunched.
Do you think that's anything to do with there just being no separation with his receivers, though, and just trying to make something out of nothing?
Yeah, I think that's probably a big part of it as well. But and I appreciate that he understands that NFL Open is different from College Open. But
Yeah.
you're gonna get some guys killed, and you already have Malik Neighbors out for the year. You don't need any more IRs on that side.
Now, to be fair, when Neighbors got hurt, that was not a
No,
suicide call. So
totally.
let's be
But
very clear. Yeah, yeah. Just to make sure we're all clear about that. But yeah, no, I think it's tough. Dave, I know that you've played quarterback in some terrible offenses when you did not have any time to throw the ball and there was not a lot of separation. So you sometimes have to make something out of nothing, and it's not pretty. Not pretty at times.
nope, my head still rings sometimes when I even hear the word Nanaimo.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Your alma mater, Dave, is a pretty good junior program now. Actually, they turned things around.
Sure, and the team I started with, they're on the way down. Langley Rams do not look great, having lost. We're
Yeah,
digressing, but I mean,
1 year.
the Okanagan Sun put up
Yeah.
like 100 points on him, and I think that's just unacceptable for that level of football.
Well, yeah, but they're also 1 year removed from a championship. Like, it's
So
whatever.
what a
They were
fall
really
off
hurt
though.
too. Yeah, the Okanagan Sun be pretty good this year. Anyway, you guys don't really care about that. So let's move on here. What's wrong with JJ McCarthy, Dave?
Oh, so much. So it comes down to kind of what I pointed out to be three things that I find wrong with JJ McCarthy. And I'm sorry I don't have clips for you guys that I can completely draw this out. It's been a hell of a week for me if I'm being inside baseball behind the curtain. Um, so having deep dived into Minnesota, their offensive scheme is still very fun to watch just from a schematics X's and O's standpoint. No, it's not looking like it in the box scores, but Kevin O'Connell is one of the best offensive minds in football. He knows how to use his guys. You're seeing him put Jefferson in motion and just dictating coverage, and you can just see the safety shell moving with him because they just need to have two guys near him at all times. But one thing, and what's really holding them back is that they've lost two QBs that were effectively able to move the ball downfield. I don't think they should have let Sam Darnold go. I think that's a big issue. But I digress. They have committed to JJ McCarthy at this point. Issue number one with him is I appreciate the throws he makes in the pocket when he stays there and he's taking shots that are good shots. But every throw he makes just seems to be just a little bit off, a little bit uncanny valley when it comes to these throws. And if you're throwing balls up to Jefferson and Addison, like that really helps your percentage because they're going to come down with it. But if every ball ends up being a 50-50 type ball, it's just really making it tough on them and yourself to move the ball effectively downfield. Number two, I think, and it comes down to a lot of his injury problems. He's missed, obviously all of his entire rookie season, and he's missed half-ish of the year this year, first with a high ankle sprain and now with a concussion, he looks afraid in the pocket. There was so many times I've seen on film where maybe they kind of protection doesn't even really break down, but the bodies were coming around him, and he looks to escape from there way quicker than he really needs to. And that's something that we've seen in Drake May in his year two jump, is that he'll just step up in the pocket, let the play develop, and find the guys downfield for explosive plays. But what we're seeing with JJ McCarthy is he'll step up, and as soon as anyone remotely breathes on him, he's out of there and or taking the checkdowns. One thing I'll point to is Kevin O'Connell called the same play 2 plays in a row. He called basically a flood concept where he had the slot receiver running a corner or a flag, whatever you want to call it, and the wide receiver in a bunch running a deep out. Now, the read there is very simple. You're looking for the safety there to either bite down on the deep out, and if you do that, you throw the corner over top, easy touchdown, or if he fails, you take the 10, 15-yard gain on the out. Pretty simple play. First play that happens, pressure kind of comes in, instantly checks it down. He hits the top of his drop. The corner is wide open. The safety came down or at least stopped moving his feet. In the professional game, that's got to be a touchdown and or a big play. He checks it down to the running back for a short 5-yard gain. Exact same play, the next play, he just calls it on the other side. Jefferson wide open again. What does he do? He boots out to his left, makes an ill-advised throw to the sideline in a scramble drill type coverage, and it's not great, and ends up being an incomplete pass. And the third issue, again, kind of tying into the injury problems, is you need to be able to stack days in order to develop. You need to be able to stack good games and continue to learn. And when you're consistently in and out of the lineup like that, it's hard to start stacking those days and learning and building on what you've learned from the previous weeks. So I think my biggest concern for him now is, can you stay healthy enough to develop and put it all together? And we'll see what kind of happens when he comes back if he comes back from his current injury. But there's reasons for concern with all those things.
Well, I think despite how bad he's playing, Vikings fans would much rather have him in the lineup than undrafted rookie Max Brosman, who had a very tough game on Sunday against the Seahawks. And let's give him some credit. You're put in a pretty terrible situation. I guarantee you he has got pretty much no reps up until this week. So that is not a way to be successful, unfortunately.
Do you think they should have stuck with Sam Darnold after his season last year?
I do. I actually said that in our off-season podcast. I think it was Jake on, not you, but my thing with JJ is and this has been talked about a lot and it's a common narrative, but I really think there's something to him not being the guy in college. I think it's so rare these days, especially with the way the game is played. It's so spread out and you're throwing the shit out of the ball, whether that be on RPOs or true drop back passes. And he was never the guy. He was always a secondary third guy where it was run the ball, run the shit out of the ball. And then when we really need to, or just to stay ahead of the chains, we'll throw with you maybe 15, 20 times a game. And he's just not getting the reps in and he's not being called on to be the dude ever. So are you just going to learn how to do that in the NFL? Is it possible? Yeah, but it's going to take extra time. And as you just said, he is constantly hurt and he's not getting enough reps, enough play time. And he's his development is being destroyed and it's not his fault. He's trying to do everything the right way. But when you miss pretty much your whole rookie year, or you do miss your whole rookie year, and then you're missing a ton of your sophomore season, you are so far behind now. And if you're the Vikings, I don't know if you can stay on him for that much longer. Because the NFL is so what have you done for me lately? And he's going to go into next year, having missed most of his sophomore year, into year 3 with a very small sample size. And what do you do? I think he's a little bit lucky in the sense that this is not a very good quarterback class, so he might get one more year of leeway. But if he doesn't figure it out by the end of next season, I think he might be done in Minnesota anyway.
No, I'd agree. And I think if you are Minnesota, you're looking to bring in some kind of veteran that's going to come in and competently be able to move the chains. And if I had to take a wild, not that wild, but a lukewarm prediction, I would say that they bring in a veteran, and if he's going to outperform JJ in that great offense, and might end up unseating him.
I saw a tweet today that that's exactly what they said, and then they said JJ will start till week 4 and get benched.
Yep.
So for his sake, I hope that doesn't
Yeah.
happen. Hope he figures it out, but not looking too good right now for him, uh, which is a common narrative. And we're going to break a narrative right now, Dave. This is my take, guys. Dave, you can interject if you feel like you need to. After a loss to the Texans on Sunday, I think the Colts are showing their true colors, and I don't think they're a legit contender. They really were taking the AFC by storm early in the season. They were running away with the AFC South. All of a sudden, Jacksonville is in first place in the AFC South, which is insane to me as a Jags fan. Um, I think we're going to see on Sunday, because the Colts do play Jacksonville. I think we're going to see after Sunday. I think the argument could possibly be made. Well, again, we'll see how Sunday goes. The Colts are the third best team of the AFC South. I think the Texans showed they are the better team on Sunday. I don't know how the game's going to go on Sunday. I'm always very pessimistic as a Jaguars fan. But I think, for one, Daniel Jones nursing an injury, I think teams are starting to figure out what Shane Steichen is trying to do. And even though he's awesome at play calling, good design, always knows how to get the run game going for the most part, and able to get Jones to his spots. They're becoming less and less effective as there gets more film on them. Jones is nursing a leg injury that isn't helping matters. Jonathan Taylor is their star, but if you can stop the run against them, then and you put it in Daniel Jones's hands, that's not a formula for success. I don't care how good he's been early in the year. We know down the stretch that's not going to be a recipe for success. Their defense is solid and is continuing to play very well. They just lost Sauce Gardner. He'll be out for at least a month. It looks like he pops up in his calf. So he's out for about a month. I just don't see it from these guys. I really don't. And that's not a biased opinion, like as a Jaguars fan. Like I look at the Texans, and despite the Jaguars splitting with the Texans so far this season, and probably should have winning both matchups as they totally collapsed in the second one, I do think the Texans are the better team. They have a very good defense, and when Stroud is in the fold and fully healthy, I think their offense is a little bit better. Maybe not schematically, but from a personnel standpoint. So do you think the Texans are the best team of the AFC South right now, despite the standings? And then we're going to see on Sunday, is it the Jaguars or the Colts in the number 2 spot?
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said. I don't think it's that hot of a take. And exactly what you said. I think that at the beginning of the year, there was kind of a honeymoon phase, a bit of a renaissance with Daniel Jones, and there's just not being film on what they want to do with him, because he's just such a vastly different quarterback to Anthony Richardson. And you can only go off of what you know when you watch the film, right? So if you're preparing for an Anthony Richardson type offense, you're going to get something extremely different with Daniel Jones. And I think the honeymoon phase for that is over. Teams have figured it out. I was skeptical about him being able to stack 17 games in a row playing like that. And obviously we're not seeing it now. I think you're right. I think Jacksonville and the Texans are going to be duking it out for the top spot there in the South.
Yeah. And I do want to be clear. Like, I think the Colts, if everything goes their way, are good enough to be a playoff team, but I think they're a wild card exit team. They're not a contender. They're a good, solid team and have a good base to build on now, especially with Shane Steichen, who I think doesn't get enough credit. I think he's a really good coach. I think he was kind of dealt a bad hand there for a little bit, but I just don't think they're a true contender.
No, and I appreciate that, at least with Daniel Jones. The floor has been raised a little bit. They kind of have more of a foundation, like, okay, this is what we want to do. Now we just need to get the pieces to make the puzzle into a picture.
And even yesterday, like, Jones made some pretty awesome throws. There was a couple of them. There's just not enough of them, right? Like, he doesn't put his team over the top. He can't win a game by himself like a true elite quarterback would. No. So and that limits what you can do offensively. Um, a team not limited offensively, Dave, against the Rams, who I think are the best team in the NFL right now, certainly didn't look like it in Carolina on Sunday. Our Canadian of the week is Chuba Hubbard with 17 carries for 83 yards, 2 receptions for 41 yards, and a touchdown. Panthers, Dave, got back to their mantra after an embarrassing loss to the Niners on Monday Night Football, where Rico Dowdle got, what, 4 carries, 5 carries?
Something like that.
They pounded the ball. 17 carries for Hubbard, I believe 18 for Dowdle, if I remember correctly. Got back to their mantra. Bryce Young did well when he was called upon. Big win for the Panthers.
Yeah, I think what they need to do is kind of take a page out of the book of the Atlanta Falcons and the Chicago Bears and just roll with this two-headed monster. They have a running back. Like, Dowdle's been showing up the past few weeks, and obviously Hubbard was kind of hurt and fell out of the fold. But now that you have them both in the backfield and both at your disposal, I think that's probably your way forward for now. Just keep running your offense through these two running backs. Hopefully you don't fall behind and you can just stick to the game plan and just let them do their thing.
Yeah, and they're such a good thunder and lightning combo, right? Dowdle is that big physical back who falls forward for extra yards, and Hubbard is that breakaway back. Like, he has incredible speed, good vision, while running the football and in the passing game in the open field. Like, that's such a good dynamic to have. And now having Hubbard back healthy, very big for this Panthers team, who is well and above expectations right now. 7-6, which, if you told me that at the beginning of the year, I would not believe you. So very good for Dave Canales and company there in Carolina. Dave, anything to add before we get out of here?
No, I love that we have almost a full weekend of football, Thursday to Monday, just all football all the time. I'm just waiting for maybe in 10 years' time when we have Wednesday games, because I think that's that could be a thing soon.
We can get in a debate about that next week, but
That's an off-season topic.
for now, that's an off-season topic. For now, we're going to say goodbye, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like the podcast, subscribe if you can, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.